The studio lights were blinding, reflecting off the polished floor of the Tonight Show stage. Jimmy Fallon, ever the cheerful host, was mid-laugh, tossing a casual quip to the audience when suddenly the atmosphere shifted. A subtle tension rippled through the crowd, a hush settling over the chatter. It wasn't uncommon for celebrity surprises to cause a stir, but this felt different. Jimmy glanced over his shoulder toward the audience, his smile faltering as he noticed a familiar face standing almost at the back. Keanu Reeves, the man whose calm presence had inspired countless memes, movies, and an aura of near-mystical adoration, was there. Not in the green room, not backstage. He was in the crowd, casually leaning on the barrier, a soft smile playing on his lips. Jimmy's words caught in his throat. He had planned a lighthearted segment, a few laughs, maybe a playful interview with Sandra Bullock about her upcoming film. But the sight of Keanu changed everything. There was an electricity in the air, a suspense that hung like a thick fog. He tried to mask his shock, clearing his throat as he gestured toward Sandra Bullock, who was walking down the aisle, waving to the crowd. The moment she spotted him, time seemed to stretch. Her hand froze mid-air, a surprised gasp escaping her lips. She blinked rapidly, struggling to process the impossible. Keanu Reeves, the man she hadn't expected to see for months, maybe even years, was right there. A simple, ordinary reaction turned into a wave of visible emotion. Tears pooled at the corners of her eyes before she could even think to hide them. Jimmy's jaw dropped. The rehearsed jokes, the scripted banter, everything he had planned evaporated in an instant. The audience, sensing the unfolding drama, went silent. Some whispered, some gasped. The camera switched angles quickly, capturing Sandra's unguarded reaction. She stumbled slightly, leaning on a stagehand for balance. And for a fleeting moment, the entire studio seemed suspended outside of time. Jimmy took a deep breath, regaining some composure. Sandra?" he asked cautiously, his voice low but carrying just enough warmth to fill the pause.
"Are you okay?"
She swallowed, nodding, though her eyes betrayed the storm inside her. She took a step forward, voice trembling. I didn't expect to see him here." The words were barely audible, but the emotion behind them echoed through the studio. The cameras captured every micro-expression, every flicker of surprise and recognition. Jimmy, usually the one steering the energy of the show, found himself momentarily powerless, watching a story unfold that was more authentic than any script could create. Sandra's emotions were visible to everyone. She walked toward the stage, a mixture of excitement, disbelief, and nostalgia written across her face. Keanu Reeves, noticing her movement, stood and gave a small, almost shy wave. It was the kind of wave that suggested a history, a connection beyond the public eye. Sandra's tears flowed freely now, unchecked as she approached him. The audience was mesmerized. Cameras panned, capturing the reactions. Some were murmuring. Some laughed nervously at the unexpected tension, but most watched in stunned silence. Jimmy stood to the side, unsure how to proceed. He had seen live television surprises before, but nothing like this. A moment so raw, so unscripted. It could change the tone of the entire show. Sandra reached Keanu, and for a second, neither spoke. Their eyes locked, a wordless understanding passing between them. Every movement seemed deliberate yet natural. A choreography written by years of shared history and public appearances. Jimmy slowly inched closer, unsure if he should intervene, but the moment was too delicate. Finally, Sandra whispered something, almost inaudible over the microphone feed. Keanu's expression softened and he nodded, understanding instantly. She laughed softly through her tears, a mix of relief and joy, and for the first time in weeks, the audience felt a collective exhale. It was no longer just a talk show segment, it was a story being told without words. Jimmy, regaining some of his humor, cleared his throat and tried to bridge the moment back to the show's pace. "Well, I didn't plan for this," he admitted, smiling nervously. "But I think we all needed a little surprise tonight, huh?" The audience laughed gently, still captivated by the unfolding drama. Sandra and Keanu shared a quiet smile, acknowledging the cameras but not performing for them. As the segment continued, Jimmy navigated the delicate balance between scripted content and genuine emotion. He asked questions softly, giving Sandra and Keanu the space they needed while still engaging the audience. They spoke about films, but between the lines, there was a story of recognition, of admiration, of a bond that didn't need explanation. Each glance, each subtle gesture told more than words ever could. Backstage, producers whispered into headsets, trying to decide if the segment should continue as planned or pivot entirely. But Jimmy's instincts carried him. He let the moment breathe. He realized that the best television wasn't always about jokes or gags. It was about capturing humanity. Tonight, that humanity came in the form of a spontaneous reunion, a reminder that life and emotion often defy schedules and scripts. The audience, initially tense, began clapping softly, then louder, a wave of appreciation for the authenticity before them. Sandra wiped her tears, smiling with a kind of serenity that only true surprise and recognition could bring. Keanu's calm presence anchored the moment, making it both heartfelt and cinematic. Jimmy, usually in the spotlight, let them take it, understanding that this was bigger than any monologue. Finally, the segment ended with Jimmy thanking them, and the camera slowly zoomed out. The applause lingered as the crowd processed what they had witnessed. Social media would explode in minutes, screenshots and clips circulating, but in that moment, the studio held a rare, suspended magic, a story of surprise, connection, and the unexpected emotional power of simply seeing someone you admire. Jimmy Fallon, speechless at first, realized he had just hosted one of the most unforgettable moments in live television history. Sandra and Keanu shared one last glance, a subtle acknowledgement of their story, their past, and the way life could surprise even the most seasoned entertainers. And for everyone watching, it was more than a show. It was a genuine, unscripted moment that would linger long after the credits rolled.